Is there a heart unbound by sorrow? Is there a life weighed down by care? Come to the cross, each burden carry, all your anxiety, leave it there. All your cares, bring to the mercy seat, leave it there. Never a burden he cannot bear. Never a friend like Jesus. No other friend so willing to help you. No other friend so quick to heal. No other place to leave your burdens. No other one to hear your prayer. All those all your cares, bring to the mercy seat, leave it there. Never a burden he cannot bear. Never a friend like Jesus. Come then at once, delay no longer. He is a tree, kind and sweet. You need not fear of disappointment. You shall find peace at the mercy seat. All your cares, bring to the mercy seat, leave it there. Never a burden he cannot bear. Never a friend like Jesus. Never a friend like Jesus.
Popotsa puo ya mokwadi mongwe o kileng a re, one writer said, children are through us, but not from us. Children are a gift of God, but not for us, but for others. So at times when you find yourself physically alone, you are not misplaced or displaced as long as there's a neighbor. Ere ke ske ka ya lolo le tla e atolosa ka mokgwa o le kgonang ka teng. Jaanong Bratimi na rata mpitsa mfana gate. Yaanong lena le mpitsa motlotlegi Tautuna mookamedi. Ena na mpitsa mfana gate. Na mfana gate. Yaanong ga go tshwenye. ka kutlwile ka nnete no ga go tshwenyela nna re mfana ke tine ke sa kwate ka go rona sa bui ka lenyatso bagolo ba ke dirileng le bona ke dirang le bona ga go pokileng a nnyatsa ke maburu ba sa sokologang le batho ba bantsho ba megabaro ba ba nnyatsang mara ga ke mo go bua ka nna ke mo go bua ka Brathimi ka bokhutshwanyana Brathimi o simolotse go tlhagelela mo conferenceng sentlentle nna ke mmona ka nako ya moruti mautla ga ba dira dilo tse ba reng ke di music festival ya yena le ba bang ba le ba itseng o monosikio o mong ke Mazia o kwa ya no mo shule na o ile Brathimi ba re tshwere go itlha ke mmona gape sentle ka 2006 ha re le kwa ko Ndengezi mo St. George's bjano mo St. George's argument e kgolo ne go the ra measure. That's a very wrong word because measure is economic. It's for financial reasons. But the church is not an institution, it's an organization. The church, it's not mechanical, it's physiological. In other words, it must not function while it loses its identity. Mar erke le tlogele, that is why bona re gatana ya ka trekere ka gore ga rena moya wa modimo mme re batla go dira ditiro tsa modimo. Ka lobotse bianong ka nako eo the issue was lena batho bantsho you are in a majority and you are going to overpower the minorities. Even if we don't overpower them in South Africa, we are still more than them. This is Africa. If we go to Europe, black people will be a minority because we are in Europe. It's not a moral issue. And it cannot be a moral issue when we are a majority in Africa. Marere ke tlogele. Mara kana kweo ba re okay to supplement that one black person two black persons will equal one white man in everything. And but let me tell you something. The owner of corruption in this world is the devil, and he rewards those who sold their soul to him. Even if we envy their glitter, but their hearts are rotten and cold. And Jesus says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and yet lose his soul? That word simply means you advance in your objectives while you know you are dying with every step forward you take. Bianong kwa ba solo se go thing IDC ya lwa ya no gona le ba bang ke the Laodiceans ka nnete. The problem with Laodicea or the Laodiceans is that they are afraid of the crucibles. They are strong when there's no opposition. They are powerful when the battle is only short-lived. Now God says, Be strong. Don't fear the crucibles. Crucibles only promote you and show the real nature of your substance, what you are made of. Bianonge, IDC are better. And like a struggle circle woods. Who talk about 1989, 1990, 1991. But Ovanchi never saw quizzes. Recession hard. Now, listen to this. You cannot talk transformation if you don't have a human resource plan. That is why after 1994, South African government doesn't have an education policy until today. That is why Hasaleba Kaula Bible Koskolo, but Baba stopping religious education in 1994, the free bonds, Kajakwiki parents. Where is gender-based violence? We are raping. We are no ranking 1990 kwa re le kompohadi ba tlile makgowa ba re rena ma Freestata re ya Natal ba bang kae ba ya kae. Brethren, Jesus does not lead followers. He leads leaders in training. And when he vacates the seat, he says, remain doing what I was doing. He was not following, he was leading. Whereas you must battle the demonic forces that are in this world. All right. This is not meeting the constitutional requirements. Radula till today. As a black church, we cannot progress with borrowed intelligence. Rona on our own, we can't conceptualize our future and our identity. Le sutunya ko bona e tshwanetse le khoa mo televisioneng we nyaka ko shopong lwena. Are we told, is it for you or not? Rafita 2006 batla baria wena motho montsho, you are equal. Lele babedi, you are equal one. Kore lele 4, le equal 1 vote. Ya le khoa. So that we will equality. Right. Ra e fenya taba eo. Ra re fentse. Timothy ya ba secretary. Ntate Mabonda ba mokgeta chairperson. Ke berekile le bona le nna ke le kwa ke sena taba. Tla ka le botse nna ke nya ke stulo. Stulo sa ka ke my consciousness. Stulo does not bring personal improvement. It may bring economic accumulations, which is nothing. But you lead up to the level of your intellectual consciousness. That is why Thomas Sankara Habulela, a person who has not achieved political consciousness is a potential thief in any position. It's a potential criminal. Constable, local church office. Mara usna political consciousness, usna self-consciousness. You are a potential criminal behind the church office counter. Ke tsone tse re di bonantse. Bianong 2013 ha fitla. Ka bona bo bratimi bo brat ndengese. Bayema, ili the Buffalo Soldiers. Yeah, the Puffanders. But let me tell you something, I pray. My wife last week said to me, hey, Matsatse ka bona batho ba a spiritual person. sa hao ke Bible le thapelo. Ha o sa itse lo ya le nna molong, ha o sa itse lo ire. O nyako ba Elijah. Meets Elijah. But let me tell you something. One thing that I regret is to be old before you discover your purpose. That thing, I hate it. I don't want to go to the grave without understanding the direction in which I must spend my life. Bianong, how we born until Bianong Kemola he 2013, Barzella Black Mabu. But to Barrekileka di pizza. Now, Alberton, Yakantate Koboto Abulets. It's not for us. It's not for Alberton. It is an ideal for which we must live. An ideal that engraves our identity. You cannot lose your identity for the morsel of bread. Kolobotso na go kono pretend. Ha o tswa mo struggling, o tshwana le motho o lebetseng lebitso la hae. Because nako le hopolang o tla itsuru o tshwantse o direng. Na ra o lebetse lebitso la hao, you belong anywhere. Bianong bratimi ba tshwara IDC ya tshwara IDC ha ba lwe le ditulo. Batho ba IDC ba batlo bona mereko wa modimo o sa heme. Come rain or sunshine. They are sacrificing to see to it that the church progresses. Banna ba ha ba shwa ba fufurega. Sometimes ke atle ke re ke tlo sala le mang. Mara tla ko botse. We will never be alone. I looked at it this way. Today, when I was praying, I looked at it this way. What causes people to support the cause? No. Jesus, our leader, spent 40 days, 40 nights in the wilderness, sharpening his vision. The Bible says, led by the Spirit into the wilderness. Moses, 40 days and 40 nights, sharpening his vision.
Such a wonderful veneration. What does the church say? I'd like to appreciate this opportunity that has been handed over to me. I'd like to say thank you for having been recognized also under the unction of the presidency and all dignitaries present in this place. I'd like to avoid talking from the critical, exegetical exposition of a text, but to speak from my heart. The life of a Christian is characterized by a severe sense of irrationality. John the Baptist, ushumayela 6 months before iministry kaJesu iqala. uJesu uyafika, uthi uJohn nami lo bengimtshela ngaye for 6 months. Uyambabadisa. Kuvuleka amazulu, uzwa iphimbo lithi uye vele. The same John who has such an inevitable sense of authentication directly from God is the same John othumela abafundi bakhe later ukuthi bayombuza ukuthi uye na. That's a Christian life. It's so irrational. Peter, kuba bonke abahambe noJesu, Peter phela badiscover ukuthi uJesu ubani. uJesu wakathi nina nithi ubani waphakama uPeter. Wathi awe ungumesiya ngokuzuza. The same Peter uye wathi kuJesu uma ngabe vela uskeni ngivumele nami ngihambe phezulu kwamanzi. Wahamba phezulu kwamanzi. It's the same Peter othi amazi uJesu. The life of a Christian is irrational. Umoses ubulala umuntu eGibhithe. Bulala umuntu eGibhithe uyabaleka. Manje ukubaleka ube bonke abantu abamsula bekakhona leso sikhathi uNkulunkulu uyangazona lesibulali. Uthi njengoba uthatha impilo yomuntu, hamba uyosindisa iziningi ke manje. It's irrational impilo yomuntu. Elijah ubiza umlilo from ezulwini. The same Elijah on the capability of this umlilo from ezulwini ubalekela uJezebeli. Kankhuluma ngethu senivana. uDavid on the temperance of determination. Kuvela ibhera akabaleki. Kuvela ibhubesi akabaleki. Kuvela uGoliath akabaleki. Kodwa kuvela uBheshiya uyayigezela uyawa. Impilo yakholwa is irrational. You know, one of the non-communicable attributes of God, attributes that we will never share with you, is unperishability. He can't die. One of the reasons why he's God is that there's no way God can die. At some point he downloaded himself into flesh. And subsequently he appears to John. Uti, look John, yes I know I'm God, but I was dead. But now, the same God who's identified by unperishability, he comes to John and proves himself with perishability. Whoever Jiyana, or survived one of the most sophisticated surgeries ever on planet Earth, together with its traumatic circumstances and encounters, only to die in his apartment later. In life, your call is irrational. Kulukula ngakusindisa bo head on collusion. Akuvumela ubulale ngithana. Impilo yokholwa is irrational. Kuba konke lokho. This is what Paul has to say. Semvana. Romans chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that all things work together for good. To those who love God, to those who are called according to his name. Kuno mono owesifazane eChina ohlala kuma countryside. Ukhamanzi emfuleni every day ekuseni. uzenzele insimbi unamabhodwe amabili, elilodwa line-crack, elilodwa likahle. Mara njalo makabuya ukuyokha amanzi, le bhodwe line-crack liyalika, fike endlini li-half full, leli linye li-full. Kodwa into emangaza ngalo gogo khotso ukuthi uyenza lento iminyaka akayifix le crack lapho le bhodwe.
Okay.
Akahamba yofuna elinye ibhodo. Njalo unqaneliswa ukuthi makeza le bhodo aliyeke lifuza amanzi. Lifike endlini namanzi half full, leli linye lifull. Ngemilaka kuba nephupho elingenangqondo mara linomqondo. Le phupho kukhuluma lamabhodo kule phupho.
Okay.
Le bhodo line-crack lithi kuye, mina I'm ashamed of who I am and how I look. Because njalo kuletha amanzi ashodayo endlini. Udloko kumaphendula ukhe wanotice ukuthi on your side of the road kunama-roses, on the side of the bhodo elingena-crack ku-dry. Njalo manguya on your side kunama-rose, kune side lale bhodo elingena-crack kumile. Le bhodo eline-crack liyaphendula lithi yebo khe nganotice udloko lama-rose watshalwa yini. Njalo manguya ukha amanzi wena mawutonta uyanethisela. Lokho kuyaphendula ukuthi yini into enhle kwami. Le bhodo eline-crack liyaphendula lithi hayi into enhle itafula lakho. Uyabuza lokho, yini into eyenza ukuthi itafula lami libe lihle. Le bhodo eline-crack liyaphendula lithi ama-roses wena itafula lakho ligcwele ama-rose a-beautiful. Uthi lokho niwaharvesta kula ma-rose wena owanethiselayo ngokutonta. Ngakho lo ongatonti useless as compared to you. Ngoba yena uletha amanzi kuphela, wena uletha amanzi, ulethe ama-flower, ubeautifye nendlu yakho. Yiloko production uthi nekhona linjalo. As long as you love God, whatever happens to you, whether it's ashamed or not, whether it's good or bad, as long as you love the Lord, it will end up good. It is for a good purpose. UJesu isikhathele ngesiphambanweni babona ukuthi idumbu azifisa abantu alesondele, asiphihliza amathambo to exacerbate ipain bazofa. Mara mabafika uJesu basuspect ukuthi sekalele. One of the Roman scholars ebekaphila cishe ngesikhathi sabo Jesu nabapostoli uthi isonja elasinikela ukuyohlaba uJesu isonja elikade linese lingaboni. Uma qeda kumhlaba uJesu watonta igazi elinye ama-drop laweni esweni lakhe labona immediately walathi umkhonto phansi wathi ngempela uyinkosi yamakhosi. The leaking of Jesus Christ became a monumental manure for the redemption of humanity. There is nothing uSathane angayenza. Akekho umuntu oconfused emhlabeni njengoSathane. Ngoba makabulawa uba imbewu unto eternal life. Lithi iBhayibheli ukufa uKristu. Ukufa inzuzo. Makathi sathi ukagulani ophila lithi iBhayibheli ukuphila uKristu. He's confused. Because whatever he does to you, at the end of the day, it is for your own benefit. Moya ku-district yasePolokwane kunethuna elikhulu elibhalwe Barnabas engenase lihanyana lilapho.
Yeah.
Linkulu nepopulation enkulu ku-Christianity ilapho. Moya eKZN kunelithi lenza ukuthi kamthwalume ufike laphaya uqale bakudirect bazokuyisa ethuneni elikhulu likaShembe. Indoda enepopulation enkulu ku-Christianity ilapho lele. Moya eChina uqala kwiseko kujingelisa ngokuthi uJiyana mafika lapho uzothola ithuba elikhulu lekabhula indoda enepopulation enkulu kureligion lele lapha amathambo wayo sesekhona ofika eTurkey uthathi ukuba uyitshele ukuthi qela uhlise in the church of the apostles mafika egedini uzothola ithuba elikhulu lekaConstantine indoda enkulu eneqhaza kuRoman Catholicism amathambo wakhe akhona lapha mara mafika eJerusalem uwatshela ukuthi ngicela ngise emathuleni amakhawu enkolo yakudala bazokuyisa leka-Abraham sekhona bazokuyisa leka-David sekhona bazokuyisa kuba uzowabona amakhawu enkolo yakudala amathuli angeke bakutshele khona ithuba ozolibona elivuliwe ukubuza ukuthi hayi leli livulile bazokutshela ukuthi leli lahluleke ukugqina umnikazi ithuba likaJesu Kristu. As long as we believe, Bazalan, we have nothing to fear. I'm proud of being here. Because Sakela, the soldier, la name the air niggas are the purpose of existence.
Okay.
Never had the purpose of existence. I am worried. Sometimes I will wake up at 12 and cry. My mom will ask me, what's wrong? I will tell her that I don't just want to live and earn a salary. I don't believe that God has just brought me for that. I want to discover a specific purpose and be ready to give myself to it. And God did. That is why I will tell you, whoever ushered into Albertonism through information sharing, we studied and discovered this is the purpose for which we want to live. A purpose that will transform black identity in the context of Christology. That is why when we came here, you can tell. Kwafika ama-lecture after ama-lecture kathunyela abantu ku-division ku-union bazosikhombisa ukuthi le dishes lesithathayo i-useless kangakanani. We're told that we will never attain credentials as recognized pastors. Our names will not even appear in union. We're giving history of organizations that appeared to sprout from Adventism and later failed and disappeared. We were told that no matter how Saul can be wrong, but he's still the anointed one. There were no theological, critical expositions, evidences that were furnished before us. But when something is from God, I remember when the Christians were persecuted, someone said, yes, I know that there were some groupings that arose in the past, but this one is different. What if we stand against them and we find ourselves to have stood against the grouping of the Lord? Young as I am, whatever they were saying to me was appealing, but there's nothing that beats the expense of the purpose. I'm not ashamed of being an Antonian.